All right, welcome back, everyone. Now you know how to create VLANs. We've done the VLANs, we've assigned the VLANs, we've learned about the virtual trunking protocol, trunking ports, all that good stuff. But now it's inter VLAN connectivity. We need to be able to, because right now they're in their own VLANs, in their own broadcast domain, so they cannot talk to each other. All right, so we're going to go inside this lab and we are going to configure in our router, and then do verification commands, obviously, inter VLAN connectivity. I'll see you inside the lab. All right, here we are inside the lab for inter-VLAN routing. Okay, now remember what I said. Right now, there is no communication between none of these computers. They can't even get out to the internet if they wanted to, because they can't even get to their own gateway because the router has not been configured. Like I said, we're not doing layer 3 switches, so we have to actually use a router. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the router. Now you can see the networks we have 10.0 and 20.0, but we're also going to do a default gateway for the 1.0 network. Because if you recall, let me open up this switch right here. Yeah, let's maximize it. Let me see. Let me bring it down real quick. Go to CLI, then maximizing. There we go. And you see we have a username, which is LDS. Those were based on our configuration, Cisco. All right, and then we're in privilege mode because we have level 15 privilege, which is administrative. And if we do a show VLAN, you see that we have two VLANs, 10 and 20. There's a root bridge, so they're not assigned there. They're assigned to the ones in the bottom. All right, so just so you can remember that. But if you look, see the show interface VLAN 1, you can see that we have an IP address on that particular interface, which is 1.253, and it has also a default gateway for as of 1.254. So we're going to go ahead and give that as well as a part of our inter VLAN routing. All right, so and that's question that brings up is, well, now we have inter VLAN routing, everybody can talk to everybody. And that's when you go to the next step, which is securing things via either layer 2 access list or layer 3 access list. All right, so let's go to our router and let's maximize that. Oh no, let me do CLI first, then maximize that. Now we're not going to do any basic housekeeping or administrative commands. We're simply going to give it a name, host name R1. All right, and we're going to go straight into configuration. Now we're in interface F0/0. That's what we're connected to. Now you don't put an IP address on the physical interface. Okay, that's just, you just turn it on because you're just trying to get through it. So the physical interface needs to be turned on. But we're going to create sub interfaces for each particular network. All right, because you're not going to have, if you have 20 subnets, you're not going to have 20 NIC cards. You create sub interfaces. All right. So I want to up arrow till I get to that interface. Now the first one I'm going to do, let's do .1. And it's not required that the number for the sub interface is the same as the VLAN that you're going to. It's not required. But I recommend it. I think Cisco recommends it because, visualization purposes. Why? If it's VLAN 1, why would you not put 1 for the sub interface? It just wouldn't make any sense. All right. So let's do that. Now, the encapsulation, encap for short, .1Q. Okay, 802.1Q, right? When we trunk the ports, that's the type of encapsulation that were on those ports. So that encapsulation needs to be the same. Now here, the .1Q ID, that needs to be the same. The number that I put here, if it's for VLAN 1, then it must be 1, because that needs to match up with the VLAN ID. So, and then what is the default gateway? IP address 192.168.1.254, 255.255. 255.0. All right, now you don't need to do a no-shut because, as you can see, everything is up. All right, these are virtual interfaces. So that's done. So let's just up arrow. Now the next interface we're going to do for VLAN 10. So I'm going to put sub interface 10. I'm going to hit enter twice. Let me up arrow. .1Q is going to be 10. That has to match. And then the IP address is going to be 10.254. And I'm trying to make it simple because you're trying to understand the concept, not memorize a whole bunch of IP addresses. So that is the gateway for the 10.0 network. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and do the 20 VLAN. So I'm going to make an interface or sub-interface for that, which is 20. And then the encapsulation is going to be 20. And then the default gateway or the IP address for that sub-interface is going to be 20 as well. And then we can just do a DWR, do show IP, oops, and brief. And when we look at that, we see that we have our physical interface that shows this up. We see our sub-interfaces .1, .10, and .20 with the proper IP address on there, and they also show up. Let me just do it from privilege mode, do a Control-Z to get there. Show IP route. All right, you see we're connected to those via those sub-interfaces. And one last check, we want to do a show start or show run, whichever you want to do. Usually in your certification, it's show run. And this is what's interesting to see, that it's going to recognize that this, since we never changed it to anything else, by default, it is the native VLAN. It recognizes that that's the native VLAN. And that's because the encapsulation is matching the VLAN ID. So that's why this number is so important that you get it correctly. Not so much the sub-interface, this is for your benefit, but the sub-interface, the encapsulation number has to match the VLAN ID. So we're good. 1 is 1, 10 is 10, 20 is 20. This is why I do it that way, to make it simple for you to understand. You don't have to be, oh my God, what was the VLAN? Was it 11? Nothing like that. Just try to make it simple. Now, understanding a concept, all right, for inter-VLAN routing, for intercommunications between these particular computers. Now you can see we have a green light. It went from green to red. If you go back to the switch, and let's maximize that. Remember last time we didn't see the port 24 that was trunked? And if we do a show in trunk now, you see that change state to up, show in trunk. Now you see 24 that's on, and the 8021Q protocol is up and running. Okay, so that's one of the things that you need to verify to make sure, because remember what I said, if you don't trunk the ports, then anything other than native VLAN will not be able to get across. All other VLANs besides the native VLAN must go across trunk ports. So verify, verify, verify. All right, so let's see. Let's open up this PC right here. Let's put it to one side. Let's go to command prompt. And obviously the IP address needs to be there, so IP config. And the IP address is there. Okay, there it is right there. All right, so we're going to ping our gateway. Let's start by doing that. 192.168.20.254. And we have connectivity. Let's go to the other gateway. 10.254, where we have connectivity. And let's go to the actual other computer, which is 10.1. And obviously, here comes the ARP that we expect. And we have connectivity. All right, so we now have inter-VLAN routing, but the thing is, remember, VLAN 1, we want to leave it for the administrators, for the IT personnel. And that's a problem because, well, I don't have a computer there, but let's go to the interface. 1.254. I have reachability to that 1.0 network. So let me see. We did configure telnet or SSH. So let's do a SSH -L to the, I think it's the first, I always get this backwards. LDS because we have a username and password, and then Cisco, CISCO, right? The password. No, the IP address. Sorry, 192.168.1. Let's say 253, right? That was the top switch, which is the root bridge. If I know the password, CISCO, oh, not 0. No, is it caps? CISCO. Okay. Flas. Okay, let's try it again because I forgot what password I put. Turn the caps off. LAZ. Flas. Oh, okay, Cisco. Now, I knew there was something there. I had to think about it for a little bit. All right, so you're in, and that's a problem because now you're in with administrative privileges. You can do whatever you want. So you don't want other VLANs to maybe, you want to control that. certain VLANs access to where you need to go. But again, that'll be taught later on in the course through access list that you can control which VLAN talks to whichever other VLAN. All right, because normally the reason we create VLANs is to logically segment the network, maintain the broadcast within that VLAN so it doesn't generate or create any noise outside that, and then you have better control of security and administration to that particular VLAN. All right, but that's inter-VLAN routing. Very simple, and you can see that you can tell it wherever you need to go. You're inside the switch. It will work on all the other switches. So we have connectivity all the way across. Now it's just a matter of actually securing that particular network using access list, which we'll learn later on in the course. I'll see you outside the lab. All right, pretty simple. All right, all we had to do was go inside the router, create our sub interfaces or virtual interfaces. All right, and put our encapsulation or create our sub interface, put in the encapsulation type to match the encapsulation of the switch, right, that particular interface, and put in the default gateway for a particular network. We did it for 3. Because in actuality, we did have 3 VLANs. We have VLAN 1, which is going to be the administrative VLAN, 10 and 20. And you saw that we have connectivity. Now, I did mention that that's an issue because now anybody, if they have the password, as you saw, you can go ahead and telnet into these switches or SSH into the switches, all right, if you know the password. But you don't want that. Later on in the course, we'll talk about access lists and we'll actually control who can get where, all right? But that's later on in the course. But it wasn't that difficult. But always remember what actually all the commands that we did to make it work. And always keep in mind, the encapsulation must match the VLAN ID. The sub interface doesn't. It's just something for you, all right? It's recommended. See you in the next.